So I've mentioned several times that I'm obsessed with Greek culture, Greek history, being my favorite, history and culture to learn about. So obsessed that I literally had to go to Greece last May just because I wanted to visit that land that I was so obsessed with. And with that said, despite how much I tend to really glaze up the Greeks on this channel, I know that I wouldn't survive ancient Greece. I'd be lucky to make it a day in ancient Greece. Heck, I don't even think I could survive modern Greece, dude. Like no era of Greece would I thrive. But yeah, I've seen oh yeah, I forgot to say. We were watching this video called Why You Wouldn't Survive in Ancient Greece by Chat History. I've seen another one of these videos in this format. He's done a few, like why you wouldn't survive the Aztec Empire, why you wouldn't survive the Roman Empire. I've seen only one, and it's why you wouldn't survive in ancient Egypt, which I really found funny and I really loved. So, seeing this one, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna check this out. Let's find out how quickly I would die in ancient Greece. And, yeah, this seems like a really fun video series that he's doing, so I'm really looking forward to watching this with all of you and, hopefully learning new things as we go along in ways I would die in antiquity, So, yeah, if you want to watch the original video by Chat History, the link to this video is down in the description down below. It is always the first link that you'll see. And if you want to support my channel in any way, shape, or form, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. It would really help my very small but humble channel grow, and I'd appreciate it very much. Now, with that said, and now without any further ado, let's get to it, shall we? Let's watch Why You Wouldn't Survive in Ancient Greece by Chat History.
Yeah, that witch is becoming a real problem. This time, you've been sent into ancient Greece, specifically the classical era. A time of great war and conflict, but also a remarkable leap forward in human civilization. So, can you survive one of humanity's greatest expansions? Or will ancient Greece thermop the floor with you? Let's find out. Greece's classical period began in 510 BC when Athens fell and broke its Hippias, and ended in 323 BC when Alexander was no longer great. As an act of kindness, you've been sent to the funny year. But there's nothing funny about needing to survive. The first thing you need to do is dust yourself off and get your bearings. Maybe a sign or something will help. Well, that's no use. You quickly recall your vast knowledge acquired from countless hours on GeoGuessr and look around for some notable landmarks. After all, some of these buildings still exist in the modern day. Well, there's a familiar sight right over there on the horizon. The Acropolis of Athens. That's in Athens.
Okay, yeah. So, like I've mentioned before, I actually went to Athens last May because, like I said, as I grown up as a kid, I was really obsessed with, like, Greek mythology, right? Like, I used to, like, read the stories, which are beyond messed up, by the way. And, obviously there's a lot of, like, Greek mythology oddly, like, links itself to, like, modern adaptation. Like, there's the Percy Jackson books, for instance, which I did read when they were coming out, and I was quite obsessed with. So, the Percy Jackson books. There's also, the newest Greek craze at the moment is Epic the Musical, which is like a modern it's like a musical version of the Odyssey, and that made it pretty big, and it just lends itself to like continually being adapted. And when before I graduated from university, one of my last few classes was a mythology course, and it wasn't just Greek mythology. We covered, Norse mythology and whatnot, but a lot of the first portion of that class, the first few weeks, was Greek mythology, and that's kind of revitalized my interest in Greek culture. Also, just this YouTube channel and watching all kinds of Greek history on it. like the Peloponnesian War, like kind of just reignited my desire to just, you know, be obsessed with this culture. And you know, like I said, I went to Greece last May and I saw the Acropolis, and it's one of the it's great. Like what I really loved about it, and I've said this a few times before, so I apologize for repeating, but it was really humbling. You know, like as I grow to really love history more and more, and you know, learning about the epic events, the wars, the battles, the places, and just being there is like there's just something so humbling about seeing something that was around thousands of years before I existed and will be around once I'm long gone. And I just remember being very humbled but by the sight of the Acropolis and the Parthenon, and like really appreciating the history of it, and you know what I viewed as the beauty of it. Though you can see there's a lot of construction going around it. It's been through it's seen a lot. But it's so cool that we just have stuff like that, and you know, we try to preserve them. It's really great.
I must be in Athens. Well, now you know where you are, which means you can start figuring out your next steps for survival. But first, you need someone to talk to because you're gonna need help.
Funny joke. Climbing up to the Acropolis, I actually slipped, which is the funniest thing ever. like the walkway, right? Like there were some stones where like you could slip, and I like whoa, like I almost like ate it. Like I managed to. Oh snap! Sorry, I just hit my plate. But but like you know, I managed to kind of prevent myself from fully my face hitting the ground, but someone else behind me just fell on their back. It can be very dangerous. So that was funny. Just to fall on your face. And a good place to start in Athens, because if you start in Sparta, that's I imagine that would be a bit harder, but then again, never mind, I'm going to take that back. Slavery was all around antiquity, not just in Sparta. The Spartans had a lot of slaves. Most of their population were actually slaves, funny enough. They had a lot.
There's never any shame in asking for help. That guy over there seems friendly enough. Although shorter, the dude is absolutely ripped from his labor-intensive chores and looks like he could kill you in one punch, but you approach him anyway. Told you. Now let's assume he's a bit more approachable this time. You begin to ask him a question, but like a monolingual American, you always forget that there are other languages out there besides the freedom one. But you try your best. Here it goes.
Oh my god. You know, I had heard that like people back then were shorter. Like some people were like they were probably like 5 feet something, like maybe like 5, 6, 7-ish. It's just funny because like in like Napoleon's era, which was a few centuries ago, you know, average height for the time was like what 5, 6, 7. I'm 5'11", so like I'm wondering if I would be a giant. Like this is some degree around these people. Though I don't know like what the average height was for classical Greece, but it seems like a lot of time there's the idea that people were shorter in the past than nowadays, so I don't know. And yeah, language, huh?
Hey man, can you help me out here? The man turns his chiseled jaw your way and begins to speak, quickly bombarding you with a bunch of indiscernible mouth sounds that completely fry your brain. But luckily, the words have been displayed in a big old bubble next to his head. Look at all them silly letters. Wait a minute, you say, scratching your chin. I've seen these letters before. Just then, you get a flashback to your college girlfriend's sorority dorm where you found the Euclidean letters, just as you were finding Herclidean.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, like house the college houses and stuff like that, like Delta and all that crap, Gamma. You know, that's probably the biggest thing of why you wouldn't survive in ancient Greece. Like, at least off the bat, you don't know what the heck anyone is saying or any of the signs, right? But there is an idea that you could, like, if you try, you can pick up. They say the best way to learn a language is to fully submerge yourself into it. Like, watch only movies, listen to only songs from that language, and then eventually some things will resonate. So maybe in a way you could eventually kind of pick up things, I guess, if you're paying attention enough, you know? But, yeah, I don't know if that would take a bit also. Yeah, that's probably the big part of why I wouldn't make it.
Kid yourself. You were doing math homework, you goober. Unfortunately, you come to the realization that knowing just a few letters doesn't mean jack shit in terms of understanding a whole language. Now, some of you modern Greeks out there might lift your hairy arms and say, "Ha, I can speak Greek, I'd survive." Well, you're wrong. Ancient Greek is completely different from modern Greek, with completely different tones, vocal inflections, and pronunciations across several regional dialects. Ancient Greeks wouldn't understand a word of modern Greek, so you'd have no real advantage.
Yeah, that's like the evolution of just language in general, right? Like, for instance, like the English language, Old English, Middle English, New English, like, even the language I'm speaking right now, like, there are some videos about people like talking in like Old English, and they sound like it sounds like how do I put this? It sounds like kind of like to me like a dude like drunkenly slurring. You know what I mean? And obviously, I probably if someone from Old English heard me chatting it up, they'd be like, "What?" Well, wouldn't say what, but you know what I mean. So. Yeah, that's kind of like the thing, though, especially like with like Mycenaean Greece, like, which is like even before classical Greece, it was different. And we did kind of touch in this, like, for instance, Macedonia and its involvement with the Greek world. Many of the, Greek city-states barely counted Macedonia among the Greeks, and said that when they would speak, like, the Macedonians spoke in a different, like, almost dialect that was a bit harder to understand at their own time. So, yeah, there definitely is, like, that's the beautiful thing about language, it just always evolves,
Needless to say, you're not going to be communicating anytime soon, at least not orally. You begin attempting some charades as a way to express your needs. Too bad all of your wacky waving is perceived as a threat. Man, that's twice. Since you just insulted a random citizen and are an obvious outsider, you're arrested and sold into slavery. Looks like you've been slammed to the bottom of the societal barrel. But what did you expect? Speaking of society... Like any society in history, ancient Greece operated under a hierarchy. Since you just got dunked into classical Athens, let's focus on that. Here, there were 4 main groups. The upper class were the elite, the cream of the crop, and we all know that the cream rises to the top. To be a part of the upper class was a birthright. You must have been born in Athens to a moderately or highly wealthy family and be well educated. And a guy. The members of this class were the only ones that held any political power and the only ones classified as citizens. That being the case, the upper class controlled all social and economic policies as well as law. As a democracy, 500 citizens were chosen at random each year to run the government, given complete control over the proposal of new policies and laws, kind of like an oligarchy. These policies were either accepted or rejected by popular vote. Next was the middle class, usually referred to as the medics. They were all the dudes who weren't born in Athens but still lived there. Foreign skilled laborers such as craftsmen, merchants, and artists. These guys built ships, constructed buildings, and kept the city maintained. Sure, they didn't have a lot of rights like the ability to own land or vote in governmental affairs, but they were the core of the Greek economy. You know, a thing that barely exists today. Oh yeah, women were also part of the middle class. Not many rights outside of being in charge of the house and raising the kids. Ancient Greek society wasn't too fair to women. The lower class, or the freedmen, were exactly who you think they were. Come on, it's right there in the name. They were freed men. Former slaves who bought their own freedom through intensive labor and saving. They pulled themselves up by their sandal straps and worked hard their whole life. only to have little to no rights or place in society. But hey, at least they aren't smelly slaves anymore. Slaves were lower than dirt in the societal hierarchy and weren't even considered a class. They were usually captured prisoners of war or purchased from former traders. Slaves were either owned by families as house servants or by the government outright for general labor, which came in all kinds of flavors. Farmers, bankers, soldiers, employed friends with benefits, police, all kinds of stuff. Imagine being arrested by a slave. Sir, you have the right to remain silent. Huh, well, at least I have rights.
Honestly, yeah, that's probably the first thing, huh? Like, I was thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, I guess if, like, you got transported and just dropped off in the middle of all this, you probably would just end up, like, becoming a slave. Realistically, I could see that just ending up being my fate after, like, the first few hours. Especially since I'd probably stand out, because, well, yeah, I don't look Mediterranean. Yeah, I'd probably end up just being a slave and probably dying as one.
Slaves made up about a third of the population and were an absolute gold mine for their owners. Profit margins are pretty healthy when you don't have to pay them much. Or at all. Speaking of gold mines, that's where you're headed. Time to get branded and get a move on.
Ooh.
Hello, everybody.
My gosh. Oh man, I forgot about branding. Oh, that would be awful.
You're swiftly carted off to join a group of miners so large it would cause a YouTube elite to start sweating. Oh man, looks like all the cool slaves have been sent to the surface mine to get gold and silver. But since your mining level sucks, you get to go underground for some cuprum. That's copper. Working in a mine was brutal. Slaves were subjected to intense labor all day, working in poorly ventilated and swelteringly hot cave systems hundreds of feet deep in the earth, illuminated
Oh
only-
my gosh, some of the stuff he's putting in the background. Oh my gosh, this is Saddam Hussein. Oh, and the Nutty Putty cave incident. Oh, you guys know about the Nutty Putty, right? That was awful. Holy crap. 27 hours of being trapped upside down and dying. They never got his body out either. Like, he's still there, like that. His bones now are probably the bottom. But, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of hazards with mining. Even up to, like, the frickin', like, 19th century. Like, mining is not that safe of a profession. Also, there's, like, what? What, miner's cough? I forgot what it's called. Something like that. But I'm not sure if how much to an extent that existed back then, but still the conditions would be awful.
poorly ventilated and swelteringly hot cave systems hundreds of feet deep in the earth, illuminated only by dim oil lamps. You can't see shit, which means your fellow slaves can't see jack shit. So watch out for rogue pickaxes.
Oh my
You
gosh.
toil away day in and day out for a while now, but notice that, like the rock around you, you're getting chiseled. The combination of your new Mediterranean diet and constant physical exertion is starting to pay off. You're able to mine more efficiently, and you're outperforming your coworkers. Thanks to all of your hard work and dedication, the local mine supervisor rewards you with more backbreaking work. Looks like you gotta add your pride to the list of things getting crushed around these parts. You're working hard and gaining some gains, but you need to start
Okay, so the only good thing that would happen is that you get good exercise by forced manual labor. All right, that's the only sort of good thing, at least. Well, oh well.
finding a way out of here soon. You see, the life expectancy for miners is only a few years. With hazards like coal dust, lead exposure, and cave-ins, it was a quick way to have your lifespan get completely rocked. Ah, jeez. Looks like Atticus is showing signs of a fever. And Pucus over there? He's earning his namesake. You ask your buddy Atlas what the heck's going on, to which he responds, looks like they all caught some sort of...
Oh yeah. That kind of puts it in perspective, like the disease. I'm not a medical expert or anything, but I think of like when like the Spanish Inquisition, not Inquisition, but just the Spanish in general, the conquistadors and whatnot showed up to like, the American continent and then managed to wipe out and do great damage to like, civilizations such as the Aztecs with disease by bringing in diseases that they weren't familiar with. would a modern person like us, if we showed up, would that happen? Or would we be subject to the diseases of the past and cause stuff? Huh. I don't know, I'm just thinking. I'm not a medical expert, so I'm not sure how that would work. But if we would be adapted or not, or if they would be adapted to us or not, you know?
No matter where you throw a dart on the board of history, diseases were always in the spotlight. Perhaps the most common in classical Greek times were smallpox, influenza, and measles. Luckily for you, your parents love you and got you vaccinated when you were just a wee babby, right? Of course, otherwise you'd look like this.
Yeah.
But ancient Greeks weren't so lucky. It was pretty common for outbreaks to be spontaneous and run rampant, killing off people by the thousands.
Oh my gosh.
And what kind of disease discussion would it be without the mention of the plague? Yeah, the plague showed up in ancient Athens right around 430 BC, 10 years before you arrived. During that time, it eradicated between 75 to 100,000 people, or about a quarter of the city's population.
Oh my
The
gosh.
plague comes in 3 flavors: bubonic, pneumonic, and septicemic. And strawberry. They're all basically the same thing, but affect you in different ways. Bubonic was the most common, as it's kind of stage 1 of the plague. Usually transferred from a flea giving you a little nibble, the plague is a bacterial infection that just penetrates your cells and fills them with
Oh my
toxins,
gosh.
killing them. This will also cause you to have a fever, the chills, and make you generally feel like shit. Your body will also start getting polluted with bumpy boils. If left untreated, the infection can spread to your blood, where it upgrades to septicemic plague. This is when parts of your body get the rot and start to turn black, causing severe pain as well as more frequent, unprovoked traffic stops. If the infection gets
Oh
into
my
your lungs,
gosh.
that's when it's classified.
Holy crap. Some of the stuff he says, I love how unhinged and unfiltered he is. Oh my gosh. It would already be bad for me. I'm pretty dark-skinned, even by, like, Hispanic standards. Which is funny, because some people have said I'm black, which I don't think I am. but a lot of people have said I'm a lot of things. People are like, oh, are you Indian? Like, when I used to have long hair, people thought I was Indian for some reason. I was like, no. And then, yeah, among Hispanics, I'm also darker skinned than most. I mean, we're all brown, but, like, I'm a darker shade of brown, so some people, when I went to Nicaragua to visit family 10 years ago, they called me El Negro, basically the black one of the family, so, yeah. So yeah, that would suck for me, to get darker, oh, that sounds all awful, holy crap. Ugh.
Classified as pneumonic plague. You begin coughing like crazy.
You know, that's something, like, as much as I like learning about the past, and in some aspects do definitely enjoy some things about it, I'm happy to be born in the 21st century and to be existing here, because, especially in terms of medical stuff, like, we have such a better knowledge of what the heck is going on with us. Back then, it's like, you just dealt with it, right? Like, yeah, that sucked.
And your respiratory system starts to fail. And that's no good. Luckily, doctors at the time relied less on the big guys in the sky for help and decided to take matters into their own hands, establishing and developing the concept of medical treatment. It was widely believed that the key to a healthy life was to consume healthy foods like fruits, veggies, nuts, meats, and dairy. Not to mention plenty of exercise. Crazy thought, right? But if you did get the ick, there were a few solutions. The most common was bloodletting. Look, you're just a big walking blood.
Yeah, that's... Oh yeah, that's an old one. Even to, like, the frickin', like, medieval times, like, maybe even past that the idea is, oh, you're feeling bad? Let's bleed you out. Like, ugh. I think we've stopped that practice, right? Modern day, for the most part. We don't rely on bleeding people out. But, yeah. Oh my goodness. So yeah, I'm very happy with our current medical knowledge, you know?
Zach. And since you're sick, that means you've got time to get rid of that. Thanks, Doc. I feel so... Other treatments were often natural remedies like herbs, soups, teas, and honey to heal your little stomach. But anyway, you're safe because you're vaccinated, which means that you're the sole survivor of a recent outbreak, and you really like trains. Guess you're a free man now. Being very free and very man means that you now have access to education. Sorry ladies, you're gonna have to wait a while before you learn good. Time to hit the books.
Alright, education.
Now that your yearning for the mines is now a yearning for learning, it's time to trade your physical gains for mental ones. Ancient Greece had a wealth of educational resources including public and private schools, personal tutors, intellectual lectures, and a recent invention. Books. Books started showing up around the 5th century. It was a great way to record down your stories and lectures without having to memorize them. But some pretentious Greek geeks like the famed philosopher Socrates believed that books would be the downfall of society, as people would just write things down rather than commit knowledge to memory. But imagine this. If you wanted to learn a story or a bit of information, you had to catch Rheticus on a Tuesday afternoon next to a fountain in the park, but you showed up a little bit late and missed half the story.
Oh.
Yeah, can you rewind like 10 minutes, please? Found a really good.
You know, I had heard that, like, yeah, like with the Iliad and the Odyssey, that sometimes, like, orators of the past just had to memorize basically large chunks of the book and recite it. Which, again, if you read the Iliad and the Odyssey, they're kind of chonkers of books, right? So the idea of memorizing, like, pages upon pages of that, and just having to say it from memory is definitely wild to me. Like I said, like especially the lineages and the geologies. Oh my gosh! Like when I read the Iliad, like back in high school, back in 2014, and then I read the Odyssey, in one of my last classes before I graduated from university. So yeah, there's just so much in these freaking stuff. It's just the thought. It's like I would just give up. My brain would be fried.
You're a spot. You want some? Nah, more for me. You attend several lectures and slowly learn to read and write the local dialect, Attic Greek. Not to be confused with Basement Greek. Although they were rare, you managed to find a small public library to see if there's anything interesting, when something catches your eye. Oh, no way. What the fuck? Like I said, I'd survive.
Oh man, what a fun video series he's doing. I gotta watch more. Like I said, I've only watched the Egypt one, which I found hilarious and funny, and I'm glad to watch this one. So overall, here's how I think what would happen if I went to Greece. Yeah, I'd probably be captured right away, because I would probably stand out a lot for my appearance, probably become a slave, hopefully survive, and learn just like the video. If not, I'll probably just die as a slave. That's all I could see. And that's if you end up in Athens for sure. But if you end up like in Sparta, oh no, I think I would die certainly as a slave for sure. So oh, I'd be super abused even more. So yeah, that's really interesting. So overall, very funny video. I don't know, guys. You think you would survive in ancient Greece? Let me know down below. I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.